Tomo and I have been in Thailand now just shy of 2 months. And if moving to Thailand were a graded exam, I'd give ourselves about an 80% score. That's not too bad, but that 20% we got wrong really caused us a lot of stress. So with that in mind, today I want to share with you our moving guide to Thailand in the hopes that it will help you to avoid some mistakes and have a softer landing. I've got a cup of coffee, some dragon fruit, so let's get to it. For your reference, I'll add chapters below so you can cut ahead, skip, come back for further reference later. Hopefully it'll make it easier for you to sift through and make use of the information contained. Here we go. Number 1, the all-important visa. There are a number of options out there available to you if you're looking to come to Thailand. For us, after much thought and a lot of discussion, we decided to go with the Thai Elite visa. It's not cheap, but it's a 5-year visa. And for us, when we considered the pluses and minuses of it, we thought it would be a best plan for us. We have 2 dogs. We don't want to be going in and out of the country every 3 months to get a new stamp on a tourist visa. We looked at the retirement visa. We didn't want to lock up all the money that requires. The Thai Elite visa was a really simple application. It didn't require any bank statements. The only documentation it required was a copy of our passports. If you look on the internet, you'll notice that there are a lot of folks out there providing assistance if you decide to go with the Thai Elite visa. We went with a woman named Hailey. I'll put a link for her services below so you can get in touch with her if you'd like to. Neither she nor anyone else is sponsoring this video. But Hailey, you're welcome to reach out if you'd like to. Bottom line, there are a lot of options available these days in terms of visas into Thailand. So if you're thinking of anything other than the tourist visa, my advice to you is to get on it at least 6 to 9 months prior to your scheduled arrival date. That way you can figure it out, think about it carefully, and make the decision that's best for you. Number 2, accommodations or housing. If you're moving to Thailand, I think you're going to find that there are a lot more places available than come up on your basic internet search. Of course, the most significant question is how much can you afford or what do you want to spend? We knew we were going to be living on the island of Koh Samui, but having never lived here before, we wanted to give ourselves the time to explore the island and figure out where exactly it was we wanted to be living. There were a lot of places online that looked great, but it's really hard to discover any negatives that might exist when searching for housing online. For instance, a poor walking score, maybe there's construction going on all the time, proximity to loud bars, or too far from loud bars. It all depends on what things are most important to you and your lifestyle. So for a number of reasons, we decided to book an Airbnb for 2 months. This gave us a lot of time to learn the lay of the land. From the reviews on Airbnb, I was confident what we were getting. I could pay with a credit card and score the miles, and I booked a year in advance of our actual arrival date, which happened to be about the height of the pandemic, and so prices were at rock bottom. Now 2 months in, I would still consider it one of the best decisions we made in regards to our move here. About 2 weeks after we got here, we started looking, and what we discovered that there are a lot of houses available for rent that one will not find on the internet. You walk down any street and pretty much there's sign after sign after sign, house for rent, house for rent. Even in the restaurants, for goodness sake, and some shops. I can't speak for what it's like in every city or every part of the country, but I suspect it's similar. Not only did we get a great rate, but the gentleman who owns and manages these properties connected us up to someone who owns a house very close to here that is coming open the very day we're supposed to move out of here. Long story short, we've locked it in. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house with a pool. It's a little bit older, but we're getting it for under $1,000 US per month. It includes pool service, maintenance on the pool, and maintenance on the house. It's a great deal we're really happy with in the very neighborhood we want to live, close to the beach we want to be by. If you do want to start your search before you get here, in addition to your basic internet search, I would highly encourage you to check out Facebook. Thailand loves Facebook. The one group that I recently discovered was Samui Buy, Rent, and Sell. Just change the city and search the same way. I bet you'll find stuff. For Gen Zs out there who think that Facebook is only for your parents, you might want to rethink that.
Thailand loves Facebook.
Joking aside, if you can book a short-term stay, it may well buy you the time you need to discover the place you really want to live. Oh, Yes, it is possible for foreigners to buy property. Notice I didn't say land. If you're thinking of buying a house, do yourself a favor. Get a lawyer. It's complicated and it requires quite a bit of paperwork. 3, health insurance. In a nutshell, make sure you have it. Maybe you have coverage, but are you sure it covers Thailand? Do yourself a favor. If you haven't looked at it, check it out. Make sure you have decent coverage. If you're going to be getting a new policy, then our advice to you is get on it soon. We're 2 healthy adults, but we do have a medical history. Insurance companies these days want to dig deep into every little thing, especially when it comes to pre-existing conditions, and that takes time. We had to reach out to hospitals or doctors that we hadn't been to in 5 years to try and get copies of our records or x-rays, etc. It was tedious. We used an insurance broker, and that was really helpful, but it still took a lot of time. And then there's the back and forth with the insurance companies to get to the point where they're satisfied and you've supplied them with all the information they need. It took us about 6 weeks from start to finish until we had a policy locked in. You pick the start date of the policy, so there's no harm in starting early. Number 4, medications. We would recommend you bring a small supply of your favorite over-the-counter medications. If you have any prescriptions, check with your doctor to ensure 2 things. 1, that what you need is available over here in some form, and 2, it's not on some list of banned substances. Hello?
PDS.
PDS? What? Tomo's here, everybody.
Pancake delivery service.
Pancake delivery service, everybody.
Should be tasty.
I'm talking about medications.
Oh.
Soon, this is an important point that we should talk about while Tomo's here. Soon after we arrived, we both ended up getting sick. Tomo got it first. What were your symptoms?
I think I had D first.
D. Quick trips to the bathroom.
And then I had fever, mild fever.
And then it changed to a cough.
Changed to a cough. And then you got sick.
Then I got sick. And I had a full-on fever for like 48 hours. I was down and out. So after I was done taking care of her, she took care of me. I recovered pretty quickly after about 2 days. And then her cough lingered for a good week and a half.
Yeah.
So in the end, I think the message here is something I heard it described online. Thailand baptism, some blogger wrote. I would call it acclimatization. I mean, this is a different climate, a different culture. There are going to be different pollutants in the air. The food quality might be a little different. Their processes of cooking or growing foods. Who knows what chemicals they use in that processes. We don't drink water. We drink bottled water, but occasionally we have started using ice at restaurants or other locations. But generally speaking, we stick with bottled water. After that initial illness, we both were fine. Out of an abundance of caution, we both took antigen tests that came up negative. So we think it was just acclimatization. Pharmacies here are great. We've found a lovely pharmacist. A lot of medications over here are available over the counter. So if you do get sick here, you don't necessarily need to run off to a hospital to get a prescription. If you're not super sick, we would recommend first going to a pharmacy and asking the pharmacist, tell them your symptoms. You might find that they are able to prescribe you something right then and there that will do the trick, including antibiotics.
Enjoy your breakfast.
Thanks, hon.
Bye.
Bye. I'm gonna have a bite of pancake. I'll be right back. Just gotta say that the pancakes are awesome. Banana and chocolate. Hey, if you haven't checked out our other videos, now's a great time to subscribe. We'd love to have you hang out with us. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Number 5, banking. This one has been the source of a lot of stress for me, and definitely the majority of the 20% that I got wrong prior to coming here to Thailand, and has cost me a lot of late night calls to the United States given the time difference. I have a lot of my money in Chase Bank. I was under the assumption that once I was able to open a bank account here in my name, which I've done, that it would just be a matter of a simple wire transfer from my Chase account to my bank account here in Thailand. Boy, was I wrong. Chase seems to think that every transaction involving the Kingdom of Thailand is fraudulent. After setting up the new recipient and generating the wire transfers, on 2 occasions they were canceled. That required a late night call to Chase, verifying my identity. And then on both occasions they said to me, "Sir, you're going to need to go into our branch in Bangkok with your passport and one additional form of ID." At which point I told them, "I live on an island and that's a plane flight away." After some back and forth, eventually I had to request to speak to a manager on the phone, go through the whole process again of explaining the situation to them. And then I told them, "Sir, if you cannot complete this transaction for me, you leave me no choice but to move all my money to my existing Citibank account and close this account." That did the trick. I share that sob story only to stress how important it is to line up your ducks before you leave your home country. Additionally, I would not advise you to put all your eggs in one basket. Specifically, don't have just one bank account. I have 2 bank accounts, 2 ATM cards, and more than 2 credit cards. And when I leave the house here, I carry 1 ATM card and 1 credit card. I leave the rest in a safe. If something happens and I lose my wallet or I get robbed, I can come home, cancel that ATM card, cancel that single credit card, unlock the safe, get the other ATM card, the other credit card, and my life goes on. And I just wait for those replacement cards to be mailed to me. You might also want to check out companies like Wise Transfer if they're available to you. Search it on the internet. They provide a service where they're an intermediary transferring money between your bank and a bank overseas. That may have done the trick for me. I don't know. I ended up getting it worked out. It was a pain in the butt, but we're okay now. Here's my other advice. Go into your bank prior to your departure and bring with you a printed letter where you tell them, "I am moving from X to Y. Here is a copy of my passport," within the context of a letter. And let them know, "I am going to be setting up a bank account in Bangkok and I will be doing periodic wire transfers to that account." So anyone looking at it down the road understands your situation and knows that you've authorized it. Do your best to explain the situation and your needs to your bank before you leave, face to face. And don't make the same mistakes we did. Number 6 also goes into the category of things we did wrong. Pack less. Whew. Whew. I'm not sure if this advice applies to all parts of Thailand, and if you're still going to be working, of course, you're going to have other needs. But generally speaking, pack less. I packed 3 pair of jeans, and I've yet to wear a single pair. I wear shorts every single day. Shorts, t-shirts, and short sleeve shirts. More suitcases means more hassles and more airline fees. We got 2 bags free each. Above that, it was 10,000 Japanese yen, about $80 US per bag above the 2. When it was all said and done, we had 11 suitcases, 2 dog crates, 2 backpacks, and 1 inflatable paddleboard. It was a mess. Luggage fees differ from country to country, but they can still add up. The difficulty was simply saying goodbye to things. All the clothes we brought are still in great condition, and we just couldn't see ourselves to part with them. We should have. Clearly, we've never read anything by Marie Kondo. Maybe we should have. Number 7, and this may well not apply to most of you. We moved from Tokyo with 2 rescue dogs. The rules can be different depending upon the country you're coming from, but essentially the advice here is start early. A good place to start is the Thai embassy from the country you are coming. You might check their website to begin. You might also search how to export a dog to Thailand from XYZ, your country. In our case, we needed to get the dogs a number of vaccinations, and those took time. Just start your process early, because it might take 2 months or more to get all the vaccinations completed. We started our process 5 months before our departure.